3220.
Off your print purchase of $200 or more, and $100 off your print purchase of $300 or more. So the more you print at Staples, the more you save. To demonstrate, print at Staples, you save. But if you print at Staples, you save. See how that works? Staples Print Big Sale. Print more, save more. Up to $100. Ends 2/10. Visit staples.com/print for details.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-859-3220. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 to 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-859-3220. That's 800-859-3220 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-859-3220. 800-859-3220.
Have you heard? Bath Creations has moved to their new location and showroom at 8741 North Kimmel Road in Clayton. This gives you even more opportunity to see the incredible amenities and craftsmanship Bath Creation offers. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful, modern bathroom that is safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save an additional $500 off your purchase. Visit at 8741 North Kimmel Road in Clayton or online at mybathcreations.com and get a new bath today.
Did you know there's dust floating around your home?
Really?
Yeah. Dust starts on hard surfaces like shelves and ceiling fans. And when you walk by, dust starts to move, compromising the quality of the air you and your family breathe.
So what do I do?
Get Swiffer Heavy Duty Duster. Swiffer Heavy Duty Duster is the fast and easy way to trap and lock dust.
Before it gets into the air.
Exactly. So you can just... Swiffer Heavy Duty Duster, proud partner of the American Lung Association.
Jim was at the laundromat when he heard his ear said, "Maraca, senor," but his nose said, "Hey, freshest scent ever." Following his nose, Jim found a man pouring Gain scent beads into the washer. The scent, the freshness. Jim blurted, "Sir, your scent maracas smell amazing." You could call them scent maracas, but most noses call them Gain scent beads. Try Gain scent beads. Way fresher than detergent alone.
All right, everybody, welcome in. It's the Kinner Kev Show live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Bring your camera down just a tad. There we go. Now we're off and rocking again. Happy, what is today? Thursday.
Already.
Kinner Kev Show. I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash. Mr. Kev Nash, welcome.
What up, though?
A lot to dive into today. We spent a little bit of time on college football yesterday.
Yeah.
Just a little. Just a little.
A lot to get into.
Yeah, so we have some NFL stuff coming up around the corner. Not around the corner. The corner is here. We're going to open up with some NFL stuff. In fact, there's still one more week of the regular season remaining before we turn our attention towards the playoffs. But the bottom line is okay, you added this extra week, and we lightly touched on this yesterday, but you added that extra week, the compromise to get rid of a preseason game. But we got to move that game somewhere because we got to get that gate money. We got to get some of that TV money, too, that was also a part of the preseason deal. So, the networks loved it because rather than get a boring preseason game on the TV slate, now you can get a regular season game. But I'm here to tell you, I can't really tell the difference between a preseason game and some of the meaningless football that we have coming up this weekend. Yay or nay to week 18 football?
Early sample size. We're what? It's like the third year of it.
This is second year.
Okay, second year. I'm gonna say yay because last year we had that classic game between the Lions, who were out of the playoffs, but they still went to Lambeau and got the Green Bay Packers up out of here. We got two winner go home situations. You got the Texans and who are they playing? Colts.
So you
That's
don't
a
even know
winner.
who's playing.
That's a winner go home situation. And then on Sunday Night Football, you got the Bills and the Dolphins. Winner gets the 2 seed. Losers get the 5 seed. So yeah, I'm here for it. We got some great matchups.
So we'll go through this NFL slate right here, because the thing that's interesting is okay, so the couple scenarios right there that there's some interesting ones, yes, but to fill an entire weekend's worth of games when everyone, is looking ahead. Now, there's a lot of games with playoff type scenarios. So let's take a look at this one. We'll start with your Pittsburgh Steelers. They are on the road. They are at Baltimore. Baltimore pretty much resting everybody.
Is that official?
They have not made it official that they are sitting everybody, but they are not going to play everybody for a long amount of time. Now, at any moment now, it can come out that they should sit Lamar Jackson. I have no clue why you even play Lamar Jackson at this point. The 1 seed is locked up. I think it's but Pittsburgh, Baltimore, scale of 1 to 10. What's the impact? Yeah, I was gonna say I already know this one.
A full 20. This is the game of the week for me. But like if I'm just a casual NFL fan checking in, I mean, I think it's still a solid 8 because Pittsburgh Steelers are still a storied franchise. They still got a great following all across the country that people want to see the Pittsburgh Steelers in the playoffs or they want to see them out of the playoffs. So this is a huge game.
Dallas at Washington. How big of a game is this as we sit here in Week 18?
I'm going to go on the low side because we're expecting the Dallas Cowboys to win and then ultimately win the division and lock up the 2 seed. And the Dallas Cowboys normally beat bad teams, and the Commanders are a bad team. So I'm going to go a 4.
Yeah, again, with Washington, they've been out of the playoff picture from the very, very beginning. Let's just be real. It's been quite about a month and some change. They've already fired their head coach without firing him. It's just a matter of, is anyone on the staff going to take over like Bieniemy? Who knows? But, yeah, for Dallas, luckily that game between Dallas and Detroit this past weekend, that kind of gives them a little bit more breathing room to not approach this as having to play a full 4-quarter game, but at the same time still going to have to kind of ease that one out. The Rams at the Niners. The Rams have announced that they will not start Matthew Stafford this coming up weekend. Again, they're really not playing for anything other than the seed that they already have in the playoffs. So again, not a whole lot there, but the Niners have that weird decision to make too, like some teams like the Browns and obviously like the Ravens and some others. Their position's locked. It's not going to change. So they have that
0 because the Rams are locked into their spot and so are the 49ers. It's about to be a bunch of me and yous out there playing.
Yeah, this could potentially be an NFC championship game because at the end of the day, it is one of those situations where I think the Rams are the hottest team in the NFC outside of the Niners heading into the playoffs. Detroit, very good, been good all season. Dallas, been very good all season. Philly, not playing their best football. The Rams are the team that's playing the best football heading into the playoffs. So I don't think they're going to try to give anything away as far as, I think it's going to be a very just simple game. Try to get through it without injuries, just like your typical preseason game. Kansas City at the Chargers. The Chargers don't have their starting quarterback. He's been out for the season for a few weeks now. Kansas City, for the first time since 2000, we will not see Patrick Mahomes start a football game.
Another 0, another dud situation. That's a 0, man. Like you got nothing. There's nothing to play for either team. It's cool when at least one team has something to play for. When both teams are basically playing out the string, as they say, you get nothing. You get nothing out of me.
Seattle at Arizona. Kyler Murray, though, he going to play. All right, so he going to play. And Kyler, they're just playing the role of spoiler at this point, but they've been playing really good football. It's one of the few. I don't think I could think of another team that had a really, really good quarterback that was not built to win, and no one's putting the blame on Kyler Murray, which is actually refreshing. This is actually probably the best thing that could happen for Kyler Murray. It's been a chance for him to go out there and play pressureless football. Just go out there, get healthy, get right, and then he's been playing really good football. No one's talking about it because the Cardinals are so bad, but Kyler Murray will play Seattle. They're in the playoffs no matter what, so how do you think they approach this?
This is a big game. You think about it, like Kyler Murray obviously had the knee situation last year, missed half of the season, and everybody thought that, like, all right, he's not going to come back and play this year. They're just going to basically redshirt him this entire season, then run it back with him fully healthy. But he came out there, got under the new offense, and they've been playing good football. They've gone on the road to the state of Pennsylvania and beat both teams from Pennsylvania. They beat the Steelers. They just beat Philadelphia. This is a situation where almost kind of like a college football situation in a bowl game where, you're trying to create that momentum going into the off season. And then on the Seahawks side, like they're not locked into this playoff situation.
They're not locked
so in, they have to win this game. And from everything we've been seeing out of the Cardinals, especially since Kyler Murray's been back, they're trying to win football games. So this is a full 7 for me.
Yeah, Seattle 8-8. They're 8-8 along with the Saints, so they own the tiebreaker over. The Packers holding on to that final 7 spot in the playoff for the NFC. They're also 8-8. Now, Green Bay wins the tiebreaker over Seattle based on strength of victory. So this is a huge one, basically a playoff game. Right now, this is a playoff game as far as that's concerned. There you go. So, all right, on to the next one. We go Philadelphia at New York, the Giants.
Oh, man. Look, man, as bad as Philadelphia played earlier in the season, they're playing even worse at the back half of the season. The difference between how they're playing now and the beginning of the season, they were still winning games during the beginning of the season. Now they're losing those games. I mean, it's very rare that you have a pick six go the other way and you still lose the football game. And that's what happened to the Eagles last week. Their pass defense is absolutely atrocious. I don't know what they're going to do in this situation. Probably rest some guys because maybe like that's the problem with the football team. But if I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, and I know KB, obviously the former player for the Philadelphia Eagles, I would be terrified if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers got that matchup with Philadelphia Eagles in the first round in a wild card spot, because Tampa doesn't run the ball at all. All they do is pass the ball. They just drop back, just like Kyler Murray and their days back in Oklahoma, just pass. Well, I'm sorry, Baker Mayfield back at Oklahoma, pass. And Philadelphia's pass defense is atrocious. If they play Tampa Bay in the first round of the playoffs, Philly's going home.
Right off the Baker. He can be, Baker's dozen is what he's going to do.
He's going to light them up. He's going to light them up.
Baker, again, last week had a very bad first half, had under 100 yards in the first half, not playing well, and then ended up they lost, but they ended up finishing over 300 yards, a couple touchdowns. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 8-8, holding on to that number 4 spot. They could still end up missing the playoffs completely, though, because if the Saints win and they lose, the Saints are in. But if the Saints win and the Bucs win that tiebreaker there because of the whatever. It's just because it says so. So
a must-win situation.
There's that. All right, next up, Denver at Las Vegas. The Raiders welcoming in Denver. You have Antonio Pierce, who's all the players are coming out and speaking up for him, saying they want him to be the guy. They want to go out on a good note, of course. In Denver, who was in the playoff picture and just decided, you know what, we don't want our quarterback, who was the problem last year, has not been elite this year, but was definitely not the problem this year. They deserve whatever happens in this game, good or bad.
This is a 4 for me because I really like Antonio Pierce. We talk so much about, young upcoming coaches, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, Antonio Pierce used to play linebacker for the Giants, won the Super Bowl with the Giants. He's a defensive coach. But I remember earlier this season, I think it was maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago, they put up like a 50 burger. So the guys are responding to them.
The Chiefs on Christmas Day.
Yeah. They're responding to him. And I'm interested to see what happens with Antonio Pierce in the offseason. Is this going to springboard him to the head coaching job for the Raiders or somebody else? So I'm locked into this. You're a guy that likes to talk about the coaching matchups. Like, hey man, you got a former Super Bowl winning head coach in Sean Payton, and you got Antonio Pierce. Like, those names right there are bigger than the actual teams that are playing right now.
Yeah, I think that's good. That's really the only interesting thing about this matchup, because no one cares about the Broncos right now. The Raiders, they're not playing for anything outside of Antonio Pierce, going to have them jacked up. And by the way, if those players really want him to be the coach, end the season with the win and head into the offseason with the big win, you've established a lot of momentum and feel good moments. Ownership of the Raiders probably feels good about this, but if they lose and that's the lasting memory, it'll make it easier for them if Harbaugh or whoever's available, and all that type of stuff. I just hope Antonio Pierce, he gives Herm Edwards a job, though, since he cost him his job at Arizona State. I didn't know what KB meant by that. And then I went and looked it up. I'm like, oh, yeah, he was the Connor Stallions. He was the rogue one that got Herm Edwards costing his job. So,
hey, man, he got Jaden Daniels there. Too bad Jaden Daniels transferred.
Yeah, got him there at any cost necessary. All right, next up, the Bears at Green Bay. Justin Fields coming off of arguably his best game as a Bear. I mean, you had literally fans sticking around after the game just chanting Justin's name. They said it's actually the first game in his tenure with Chicago where there were Bears fans showing and voicing their support at a game. All he's done is make their life even more miserable, though. Like, you would think him playing well is a good thing for him. It's not. It's just making their decision of what to do with this potential 1 seed even more miserable. But nonetheless, the Bears at Green Bay, the Green Bay Packers playing for their playoff lives with the Bears in town, their rival.
This is a full 10. There
is more than I thought, by the way, so I'll give you that.
This is a full 10 situation. Obviously, us Buckeye fans, we're always rooting for Justin Fields, but this will be his last game with the Chicago Bears. Look, the Chicago Bears should trade Justin Fields. They should trade him to the Atlanta Falcons and get something for him and then reset the clock, so to speak, with Caleb Williams. Because guess what? Caleb Williams will be on a rookie deal. Justin Fields will have to play on the fifth-year option or whatever the case may be. You'll have to pay somebody. Trade Justin Fields. Maybe you get a second-round, third-round pick for him, and then you're able to bolster your roster even more by resetting it with Caleb Williams. Even though all that's being said, Justin Fields has been playing some good football, a very exciting player. And then you flip it on to the other side with the Green Bay Packers, obviously their biggest rival. They're playing for their playoff lives. It's a win and you're in type of situation. You know, it's been a very up and down situation with Jordan Love this season. So he's on the high side right now, and he's playing some good football because when he started the season, everybody thought like, oh my goodness, are they going to go 3 great quarterbacks in a row? Then he went down like, no, he's not the guy. So the pendulum swung so much. Now he's playing good football again. And then last year, they were in this same situation, win versus a team that was already done for their season. And that team, being the Lions, came in their house and beat them on Sunday Night Football. So obviously, there's tons of guys on that football team and coaching staff that don't want to repeat the same thing from last year. So this is a full 10 situation.
Yeah, again, as I mentioned, Green Bay, they right now sitting in that 7 spot. If the playoffs started today, they would be in. They're 8-8. If they win, they're in. If they lose to the Bears aren't in, but the Packers would be out. Seattle, of course, would win the tiebreaker over the Packers and New Orleans in that situation.
Go Packers.
So
go Packers.
Again,
I want to see the Packers in the playoffs.
It's a big jump. So I ain't gonna lie, we haven't got through all the games yet, but I was like, check that on this weekend. But that's because my team's locked into the playoffs. It's got a boring weekend. You know how that winning thing is in Cleveland. We just, we don't know what to do with ourselves sometimes. But on to the next one. Again, a lot of big games. I was wrong. I'm already wrong. We're not even through these. So Kinner admits when he's wrong from time to time. Tampa at Carolina. We talked about that. Carolina playing for nothing. Their owner can kick rocks. I hate Tepper. Everyone, you talk about Jerry Jones. Oh, he's meddling. I'll take a rich meddling owner who wins football games over a POS like this guy who just literally got fined $300,000 for throwing a drink on the Jaguars fan. And basically that's less than a slap on the wrist. Sorry, I can't stand it. But
Real Housewives of Hollywood.
Yeah, Tampa Bay. I don't care about Carolina, but I mean, at least if you're playing for your playoff lives. By the way, Baker, Tampa, you lose this game, you didn't deserve to be in the playoffs to begin with. So I'll just
gotta win this game. This is such situation kind of reminds me of the year where the Colts were in a win and you're in situation and they lost to the Jags.
This is recent?
This was 2 years ago.
2 years ago, okay.
When Carson Wentz was the quarterback and they lost that game and ultimately helped my Steelers get into the playoffs. This reminds me of a situation like that. This reminds me of that. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think that the Buccaneers handle business early. I think Baker's going to be sitting on the sidelines with a baseball cap by the third quarter.
It's my guy. It's my quarterback. Told you guys about it. Don't doubt Baker. Atlanta at New Orleans again. Atlanta, no playoff hopes. New Orleans, one of many teams jumbled up fighting for that final spot. They don't hold a lot of tiebreakers. They need a lot of help to get in, but the one piece that they don't control a lot of what's around them, but the one thing they can control is the result of this matchup with Atlanta. They have to take care of business at home.
This is a 4. No, this is a 5 because obviously the Saints have something to play for. But the thing about Atlanta is they're going to be looking at the Chicago Bears game because they're going to be looking at their future quarterback in Justin Fields.
By the way, Ron Howard. So Baker Mayfield gets $1 million bonus if they go to the playoffs. So I get a $35 bonus if they win the division. So, yeah. All right, the Jets at New England.
No, what? No, I'm not going to disrespect.
Yeah.
I'm not going to disrespect the Pats and their legacy and Coach Belichick. So I'm going to go a 3 because this is probably it for Coach Belichick with the Patriots. So I'm going to go a 3. I'll check it out.
Yeah, just for that very reason. And again, going up against a team that he has owned basically his entire tenure in New England with the Jets in town. Yeah, there's no playoff implications on the line at all, but just from a storyline perspective, a lot of people will be tuning in for what could be the end of an era with Bill Belichick no longer potentially pacing the sideline in his cut-up holy hoodie in New England. Don't think his coaching career is done, though, but it probably is done in New England.
How old is Coach Belichick?
I got a good question. I got to ask the Google. Don't ask Alexa because she always interrupts the stuff. Then we can't turn the thing off, and then it's a pain in the butt. Jacksonville at Tennessee. The Titans are not in playoff positioning at all, and right now Jacksonville, they're holding on to that. I mean, look, they got owned by the AFC North. They got beat up by the AFC North, right? Like, they've had a very tough November into December stretch. Hopefully January brings something better for them. They win the tiebreaker over Indianapolis and Houston based on the head-to-head win percentage, but they have to take care of business in this one. This is a big game for the Jaguars, obviously.
Go Titans! Go Titans!
Yep.
This is a 7. This is a 7. I don't expect the Titans to beat Jacksonville in this game. I expect them to win this game, them being the Jags, and win their division and make their way into the playoffs. But, when you got a lot on the line, I mean, spoiler alert, that's what the Titans are trying to do. They got a lot of guys on that roster that are trying to get bonuses. DeAndre Hopkins has a bonus out there for a certain amount of catches and a certain amount of yards and everything like that. So they're going to be playing loose. And obviously, with Jacksonville, with Trevor Lawrence kind of being banged up the last couple of weeks, how's he going to play? Is he going to turn the ball over like he's been doing? He turned the ball over like crazy versus the Ravens the last 3 weeks ago on Sunday Night Football. So hopefully, for my benefit, he turns the ball over a lot.
And by the way, I need Jacksonville to win. I like the Browns' chances against Jacksonville. I'm a big fan of going to Duval. So you got the age right? You got
Coach Belichick is 71 years young. He'll be 72 in April.
Okay. Minnesota at Detroit. Next up.
We have some people from Michigan that work in our building, so I'm going to go with 0. No, I'm joking.
They've been mouthy. They've been very mouthy this week.
Talking. Big talk.
New year, them.
Big talk. I'm going to still go relatively low on this situation. I mean, the Lions, if I'm not mistaken, they're locked into the 3 spot, right?
Right now, yeah. That's what that was such a big deal. Is just because
of
path and all that stuff. And
So I'm gonna go on a 3. This isn't that big of a game.
So Detroit, Minnesota obviously kind of fell off after being interested, especially in the middle of the season, lost Kirk Cousins, but nonetheless, Cleveland at Cincinnati.
Goose egg.
Boring.
Goose egg. There'll be no body playing for the Browns. Guess what? Probably not going to be anybody playing for the Cincinnati Bengals either. You probably should just go ahead and just run through it, have some practice squad guys out there to get this game over with. Don't want to get anybody hurt going into the offseason.
So what's wild about this too is Driscoll will start for the Cleveland Browns. In the history of the Browns-Bengals rivalry, he is the first quarterback to ever start for both teams in this rivalry, if that's what you want to call it. But pointless Bengals-Browns, pointless Week 18, a little trivia fact there for you, whatever.
Is it pointless?
And it's pointless. My concern is this.
What if they win?
What
if the Browns win?
Oh, then that's also history because the Browns are also the first team to make the playoffs starting 5 different quarterbacks in a season, and they can go one step further. Stefanski would win with his 5th different quarterback this year if that's the case. But at this point, I just don't. I don't need any key starters getting hurt. I don't care. I am torn on this too because I'm not a big fan of the idea. Look, they played Thursday Night Football last week, so this coming up Sunday. I mean, that's 10 days between games. And now it's going to be another entire week between games. We're talking about more than half a month off. That's
right.
Like 2 weeks off for Joe Flacco and company. And maybe, it's not a big deal, but like 17 days off, potentially 18 days off because you have the Monday Night Football wildcard game if they get slotted there because we don't know who's going to be getting what game and all that type of stuff. That's the only thing that concerns me is that. But those are good problems to have. Usually the playoff concerns we have are, man, we're not going to make the playoffs this year. This year, it's Do we rest our starters or not? That's a good problem to have as far as that's concerned. So as far as the Cincinnati Bengals go, I know that Zach Taylor announced today that, that T. Higgins and no decision has been made on him and Jamar Chase. Sit them. There's no point. Especially if I'm T, I'm not going out there. There's nothing T. Higgins can gain from going out there other than getting hurt again and have that be used against him. It doesn't matter. He's not staying in Cincinnati. It's just the next team can use him. Did you see Spot Track? This was interesting. What do you think his value would be in the free agent market, or forget free agent market, but just when it's come times to get paid?
Probably like 25 mil.
That's what I thought too. They said coming in at 20. That makes things a little interesting if you are the Cincinnati. But I still think it don't matter if you can get him at 20 and get Jamar at a cheaper rate too at let's say 25, which is not happening. But you're really going to put 45 mil into 2 receivers and 55 mil into a quarterback on one side of the ball when you have a ton of money already invested in the offensive line and you have the worst defense in the National Football League. T. Higgins' time in Cincinnati is done. They could tag him and go that route and risk losing him for nothing, though. I mean, do you do that? You got to be aggressive. with this window. If you could try to do one more year of Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins, I'd get it.
You do the tag. You don't just
tag and lose them for nothing, though, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't want this, and you don't want it. I don't want, but the thing is, if I'm the Bengals, you have to be aggressive, and this would be aggressive. Some people would say it would be dumb. I think it would be smart, or at least just aggressive, if you can keep Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins together for one more year.
Yeah, I mean, you already know that that's probably the route that they're going to go, because Joe Burrow is going to go into the front office and say, well, I'm be healthy this year. Let's try to at least run it back for one more year. And I wouldn't knock him for that.
Did I say that Houston and the Colts? Did we
full
do that
10.
One? That's a full 10. I think we agree on that.
Full
That was
10.
an easy one. That was
full
easy.
10. Winning your end situation. Full 10.
Nonetheless. But
look at all those good games.
But there was. I was wrong. My bad. The reason you want to know why I was wrong, though? Well, I'll tell you why I was wrong on the other side, because I got this graphic of all the backup quarterbacks that were going to be starting this weekend. So I let that graphic I'm like, man, this weekend sucks. There's no college football. There's no NFL. Oh, this is our life now.
NBA time, baby.
College basketball time. Speaking of college basketball, we got college basketball tonight. We had Ohio State basketball on the airwaves last night. We have Wright State on the airwaves tonight. They're back at home. They have Cleveland State in town, 5.5-point favorites for those of you who pay attention to those types of things. But it's an ESPN2 game. Jordan Burnfield, a company, they'll be on the call on ESPN2. Chris Collins and I will be on the radio call right here on 1410 ESPN Radio and 101.5 Hank FM. So that's coming up later on tonight. So keep that in mind. If you want a chance to win Raiders tickets for tonight, again, we'll just transfer them right to you. Text Raiders to 518-1410. Text Raiders to 518-1410. And if you win those tickets, we'll transfer them to you right away. We'll be right back. It's a Kinner Kev Show.
Live and local sports talk. Don't miss the Kinner and Kev Show. Weekdays at 3 p.m. right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Our forecast is calling for partly cloudy skies and 20 tonight, sunshine and 40 tomorrow, a rain-snow mix on Saturday and a high of 39. I'm Rick Shrimp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
A girl in Kenya dreams of becoming a doctor. An elder in Guatemala dreams of being part of a community. Reach out and change their world, and it will change your own. Unbound.org.
Hungry for a great time? Maybe some great food? Then come on down to your neighborhood Submarine House. Try our oven-toasted deli subs, our mouth-watering salads, pizzas, appetizers, and more. And wash them down with a unique selection of craft beers while watching the big game on our big screens. With locations around Dayton, in Columbus, and our newest sports bar in Kettering, you're never far from a Submarine House. Subs, sports, spirits, Submarine House.
Start the new year off right and wrap up your bathroom project with help from Menards. Check out our great selection of Lions tubs and showers that will match your style and budget while refreshing your bathroom. Get a Lions Elite tub and shower surround for just $499.99. Big buys, big savings. Check out this and other great deals going on now at Menards. Prices good through January 14th.
Save big money at Menards.
Hey, Cordell Transportation is now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers, excellent pay, benefits, and a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Apply right now online at CordellTransportation.com. Do it right now. Driven to succeed.
Looking for a career path with flexibility and great pay and benefits? Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Psst, hey, Mark, remember, getting help from Progressive is so easy. You can use the mobile app, chat with us online, or call us.
And you pick now to tell me.
I couldn't miss Little Grace's ballet recital. Oh, thanks for inviting me, by the way.
Did I?
Because you know I'm always here for you.
Yeah. I can use the mobile app if I need help. Sorry, you're in my wife's seat, though.
Oh, yeah, I gotta go anyway. Tell Grace she nailed her chassé.
Get the help you need from Progressive with our mobile app, online chat, or over the phone. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Everybody knows that Roosters is a fun, casual joint with their award-winning waitstaff, great food, fun, and laughter. It's a quick stop on the way home to sit back and unwind. It's a front row seat to the big game. Roosters is where you, your family, and friends can order pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and more. And the home of award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen, and so big you won't believe it. It's your family's other dinner table. Roosters, a fun, casual joint, and proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash. We are Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM, 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to jump in on the conversation. So the question, we opened up the show, Week 18 football. How pointless is it? I was ready before the show started to give it a big old 10. I think it's a 10 of 10 pointless, but there's a lot more interesting games than I thought. But, I'm a homer. My team's in the playoff. They have nothing to play for this weekend, so I'm just mentally checked out this weekend. See, this is a problem talking around my wife when I say, oh, yeah, this weekend's game is pointless. It doesn't mean anything. The Browns, they already clinched the playoffs. I don't even care about the game. Boom. She had plans lined up for us like that. And I couldn't even say no. And so now I had to pretend to be all into the Driscoll. You haven't heard about Driscoll, Nora? It's a once in a lifetime opportunity to watch Driscoll play for the Cleveland Browns. But nonetheless,
getting stepped in it now.
So had some people message in just regarding the Cleveland Browns and kind of the approach to resting everybody and all that. And I think that's the smart thing to do, right?
Yes.
Like even with the 17 days off between games.
Absolutely.
Like now some of the starters will play, but like the main ones, obviously I wouldn't play Myles Garrett. I wouldn't play Zadarius Smith. Who, by the way, I like Zadarius Smith, but if you want to talk about a guy that, he gets knocked out for the season at least once a game, I'd keep him out too, because one of these times it's going to be real and no one's going to go out to check on him. They're like, just give him 5 minutes. He'll be fine. No, coach, his leg's sideways. No, it's not. It'll magically pop back into place. No, but I wouldn't put him out there. Emerson, all those guys. I don't know. I can't sit everybody.
Right. Yeah,
but,
this isn't college where you got a roster of 100 guys. Is the NFL, which you got 53 guys on the roster. So yeah, some starters are going to play a lot of minutes. I know I wouldn't play Amari Cooper. He's already dealing with the
heel.
Yeah,
the heel. So so that's kind of where we're at with that. So the only thing is just not really the age. It's 38. It's an older quarterback. Is it an old quarterback?
Yeah.
Should we be worried about resting an older quarterback for 17 straight days?
Nah, this is a good thing to rest an old quarterback. He already done it before. He's already come off the couch and played good football. So, a couple days off, couple weeks off, he'll be perfectly fine for the playoffs.
I hope so. Because if he's a little rusty, I'm going to be a little concerned. So he leads the NFL in interceptions since coming to the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
And people are throwing that at me left and right, every chance that they get. Anytime I try to be happy about the Browns' success, look at me averaging 300-plus yards a game, average about 3 touchdowns a game, completion percentage really, really good. You get that stretch over a full season. I wouldn't expect him to throw for over 300 yards a game over a full season. But to be honest, getting Joe Flacco to throw over for 300 yards a game for an entire month, that wasn't expected either. I don't know what it is about this offense that all of a sudden is flourishing under him. It kind of doesn't make any sense, Kev, because before him, 300 yard, Deshaun hasn't thrown a 300-yard game. Baker did it twice. That was it. No other quarterback has done that. Now, again, no other quarterback. We act like we have a laundry list of great elite quarterbacks. But for all the doubts about Kevin Stefanski, and I've had it at times, it's at times, sometimes you got to be reminded that, hey, these coaches know what they're doing. The system is really, really good. It's in place for a reason, but sometimes you don't have the right ingredients to make that kick-ass meal. But you hope that $230 million full guaranteed quarterback is the guy to do it. Now, in his defense, they average 28 points a game with Deshaun Watson out there. He's 5-1 when he's out there as a starter this season. They were beating really, really good teams when he was out there this season. So it's not as if they were beating nobodies, but for whatever reason, this offense, you as a non-Browns fan watching this, so get your take, because they're the greatest, the show on, they don't play on turf, but you see what I'm saying. What the hell is happening in Cleveland? And this is such a great story because this stuff like this just doesn't happen for Cleveland ever.
Catering to what he does best. Flacco is a deep ball thrower. That's what he does. The intermediate routes he's good at, but the deep ball, that's what he's known for. You go back to his days with the Ravens. hitting Jacoby Jones on 50-yard bombs. I mean, there's a stat out there that his passes are the most ones that get pass interference. You taking shots down the field. That's what he does best. And you change the offense to do that. I mean, or your guy is completing those passes over the other guys, because outside of like 2 games, I guess, like Deshaun versus he had a big passing day and made long passing plays against the Titans and who else was
Houston.
And
Houston. Yeah.
So this guy, that's what he does. That's the number one thing that he does, is throw the deep ball, and they're doing that. My question for you, are you concerned about the turnovers?
I mean, you always be concerned about turnovers, but I think when you have a guy that's attacking the field down there as much as he is, they're taking more chances, they're being more aggressive. Also, we just watched Matthew Stafford win a Super Bowl leading the NFL in interceptions. I'm not saying that's the blueprint to go, that you should lead the league in interceptions to get to a Super Bowl. But it hasn't been a concern yet because they've been blowing some teams out. Now, not every team. I mean, they've had to come back. They've been playing some close ones at the same time. But to the Browns' credit, they turn it over. I'm not concerned about it because they have the number one defense in the league. If they didn't have the number one, if they were just okay defensively, it would be a huge problem. But Kev, when you turn the ball over and your defense forcing their 5th 3 and out of the game and all that stuff, and again, you're going to go in the playoffs. I'm a little concerned in the playoffs because you're going to be playing better teams. But you throw an interception against Jacksonville. I like the Browns' defensive chances of getting the ball right back and letting them go down the field. And to the veteran's credit, he doesn't let it rattle him or anything like that. They go right back out there. I mean, every interception he throws, they've showed. I think of this. He has the 7 interceptions or whatever. The 7 interceptions, the 5 of the 7 interceptions, they have scored the next possession, almost canceling it out, kind of, because 3 points sometimes is just field goals. But no, I'm concerned about. Never anyone who says they're not concerned about turnovers, you're wrong. You got to be concerned about it. It hasn't hurt him yet. Doesn't mean it won't hurt him in the playoffs, but we've seen Matthew Stafford win the Super Bowl leading the league with interceptions, and he threw the most interceptions in the playoffs that season. So yes, concerned about it, but again, when you're throwing for 300 yards a game and averaging 3 touchdowns a game, and you're getting 100+ yard performances every night from Amari Cooper, which he wasn't doing before, and you have a star that's all of a sudden emerged in their tight end, and David Njoku, who showed flashes, he'd have a big game and then he'd disappear for a month. Now he's like the primary target, him and Amari. It's just weird seeing the guys that should have been the primary targets getting the most out of them every single night. Why now all of a sudden is this 38-year-old off the couch, hadn't played, Kinner didn't like when he was with the Ravens and rolled his eyes at him even going to the Jets and doing the farewell tour. This just doesn't make sense. Like I said, this stuff just doesn't happen. Doesn't happen for Cleveland especially.
That's who Flacco is. He's I won't say a roller coaster, because there's always more good than bad with Joe Flacco, but you got to take the good with the bad, because I think him, Matthew Stafford, I guess you can still say Aaron Rodgers, like those are the last of the quote unquote gunslinging quarterbacks. Like if you got a young quarterback turning it over like a Joe Flacco, they're getting benched. I mean, look at Jameis Winston, the 30 for 30, everything like that. He was throwing for a ton of yards, ton of touchdowns, but he also was turning the ball over. Young quarterbacks that do that, you're not getting a second chance. So the reputation that he has, like the kind of I'll get it back type of situation that he's been doing with the Cleveland Browns, like that's who he's been his entire career. That's who he is. And I mean, he got that big contract by betting on himself, and he was hot. He was hot as a firecracker. And then eventually he cooled off, and now he's hot again. So, I mean, if you get good Joe Flacco, you can make some damage in the playoffs for sure.
Alex Yearley messages in saying, when will the narrative change to the Browns not being able to pay everyone on defense? I don't know if that's a narrative. That's not a narrative, but that's going to be a reality at some point. But look, this isn't a delusional homer take. Technically, the Browns have been spending a ton of money for a very, very long time, and they've been very good at manipulating the cap. But look, because it's the Browns, are not going to get the credit they deserve, and because they've been very good with the cap, and it hasn't resulted in playoff appearances and playoff wins and even a Super Bowl or AFC championship appearance, are not going to get that credit. This year, they're starting to kind of get it a bit. First of all, the defense, like Myles Garrett's going to get a big extension coming up. They're going to have to move on from Newsome after the season. They're going to have to make decisions there. As far as the Darius Smith thing, they're always going to go after those pass rushers that they're still really, really good, but they're not. You can't give them long-term contracts because they're just too old. Like, you know what I mean? So the floor is going to fall out from underneath them. The Browns are always going to just recycle that. They've been doing that technically. They just haven't hit on it, and they haven't had the right defensive coordinator in place, and they have that for now, because he did say today. And by the way, kudos to him. Everyone Browns fans freaking out. It's like, this is what happens when you get good coaches. Other people want them. It's a good problem to have. But that time will come. But like I said, I'm not too worried about it, mainly because of the fact that the Browns have done a very good job of rolling cash over. So keep getting this all the time. People keep sending me the what's that called? Not the payroll for next year, the salary cap.
Salary
for next
cap.
year. Right now, the Browns are expected to be minus 30 or something next year and all this. Well, they have 40 mil rollover. The reason that it's showing minus 36 for next season is because that 40 mil rollover, and they've had to use some of that obviously to get Flacco and all that. So let's just say it's around 30 mil will roll over into next year. Basically, how they've gotten away with Deshaun Watson's contract, and I learned this from Duffy when he's come on with us, is so if the Browns have $90 million to spend in an offseason, they're going to try and at least keep 30 to 40 as best as they can. And what that means is so you have Deshaun's big contract that's going to go against the cap every single season. How they're going to get away with that is every year they're going to take that rollover and slap that against his contract. And now Deshaun Watson, who right now is perceived, everyone's doing the 60 mil against the cap. There's no way they're going to get over that. They'll get over it because when that rollover hits, now all of a sudden his annual salary is going to be brought down significantly. It's not going to hurt them as much. Is it sustainable? Yes, it will catch up with them. It caught up with the Rams, but guess what? You start trading guys away, you get draft picks back, and you start over. That's where you don't trust the Browns, but I trust what they've been doing with the cap at this point. And let's see what happens in the playoffs. They shouldn't be in the playoffs right now with all the injuries that they've had. They lead the league in injuries. They lead the league in drops. You're on your fifth different. I'm not going to count that narrative, the fifth different quarterback. They're on their fourth different quarterback. That is for sure. Fifth one is just to get everyone healthy heading in. So, but you know what? Those are off-season problems. Bengals fans, you worry about your off-season. I'll worry about no, but it's a good question, yes, because everyone's been asking those same things. They're going to have to move on from Newsom after this year. That's for sure. So.
Yeah, and another thing is it's all good when you're winning. When you're winning, the ownership doesn't have a problem coughing up extra money. When you start losing, that's when they start like, wait, you want me to do what? You want me to pay like this whole thing that's going on with Russell Wilson? Like, you think the owner is happy about this? Like, happy that, oh man, Russell Wilson flamed out and now they're gonna have to cut him? Like, when you're winning is good, and that's like next year when Deshaun Watson's back at the helm for the Cleveland Browns. Like, we want to talk about like the pressure that he was under to start this season. Like, we don't know how the season's going to end for the Cleveland Browns. It could end with them hoisting the Lombardi for all we know. Like, could you imagine the amount of pressure that's going to be on him to perform? And like, people are going to be looking at him with the stank eye because he's going to be the starting quarterback. Joe Flacco's not going to be the starting quarterback. Joe Flacco might say, peace, I'm out, I'm retiring. What a better way to go out. I'm about to go write a book about my experience. So this is vital for the Cleveland Browns next year to not only get to where they were this year, but to exceed where they go this upcoming season, bearing obviously a Super Bowl.
So that brings us, so Steve Stetler messages in. But again, we're on the Jocelyn Kinner Show Facebook page, so this is coming up. Browns defense will carry them all the way to the AFC Championship game. I think that's a realistic possibility. Look, they might run into the Ravens actually in the second round. I don't think it would be the AFC. Like, if they get to the AFC title game, that means they knocked out the Ravens. And look, they've already beaten the Ravens, and they've done it, with Deshaun Watson last time, and they did it while not even playing their best football at that time. I think they're the most equipped to beat Baltimore. I don't think they're better than Baltimore, but I think they're the most equipped to beat Baltimore from an offensive firepower standpoint, and obviously having the best defense in the NFL. But I think those two teams right now are the best teams in the AFC. Is that a homer take on my end?
I think that's fair to say. I had
Dolphins there a few weeks ago.
I would put the Bills up there as well. Like, they're playing good at the right time. So yeah, but I mean, shoot, let's be real, man. Like, when you start talking like, all right, who's playing the best in the conference going into the playoffs? There's only 7 spots. So I mean,
Buffalo is though. Yeah, I mean, no one's looking at them because they're battling for that final spot, and the Browns are in the 5 spot. But the bottom line is, if you look at the teams who are all winning their divisions and are going to have those home games, they're lucky. Every team that's going to have home field advantage, they're lucky they have home field advantage because they are not playing good football. Jacksonville's not playing good. Kansas City, I mean, it took everything in their power to hold off, the injured, banged up Cincinnati Bengals, that was supposed to be a classic game if everyone's healthy on the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals rout Kansas City if Joe Burrow and company's healthy. So the bottom line is they're not good. Miami, they've been great all year, but the wheels have fallen off there.
Man.
And so outside of Baltimore, all the other division winners, they're not playing good football right now. It would not surprise me to see at least 2 of those 3 be upset that first playoff weekend. But we got to get through this meaningless playoff weekend.
You know who is playing good football?
let's talk about that. Let's stay in the AFC North. Because if I'm going to be delusional enough to think that Joe Flacco could lead the Pittsburgh, don't stay away from Joe Flacco. He's not going to do the AFC North tour. No. But let's talk about Rudolph. No, not the red-nosed reindeer that helped deliver everyone's Christmas presents this year. Let's talk about the other fictional character that is leading the Steelers right now into potentially maybe backdooring their way into the playoff, of course. But let's talk about that. I want to talk about Mason Rudolph and the Steelers. How realistic is that? Steve Stetler, to piggyback off what you said. Well, not to piggyback off of it. He counters what you say. He says, Steve says, I'd play Flacco over Watson all day long. Veterans has been there, done that. So let's talk about that. Talk about Mason Rudolph and the run he's had in Pittsburgh. It's Kinner Kev Show, 1410 ESPN Radio.
It's the Kinner and Kev Show, right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
With tens of thousands of satisfied patients across America, it's no surprise QC Kinetics gets 5-star reviews.
I'm feeling on top of the world because of QC Kinetics.
I'm able to do the things that I wasn't able to do for a long time.
I can recommend them highly.
I would recommend QC to anybody. QC Kinetics has changed my life.
I couldn't believe it. I honestly was skeptical, but the pain went from a 10 to a 0.
Real people with real lasting relief from joint pain.
QC Kinetics Regenerative Medicine is regenerating me.
And I recommend everyone seek out QC Kinetics as an alternative to surgery.
This non-surgical approach is definitely the future.
I tell as many people as possible. I am an ambassador. I love QC Kinetics.
QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in advanced regenerative medicine. No drugs, no surgery. Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. 937-936-0325.
At Lowe's, save big every day when you buy in bulk. Save up to 40% on molding bulk savings packs. And there's more. Save up to 25% on drywall boards when you buy in bulk. Visit us in-store or online for low prices on the materials you need. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details.
The all-new ESPN Radio Morning Show, Unsportsmanlike.
At what point are we going to acknowledge that Josh Allen is a great quarterback, but Josh Allen is also an overrated quarterback?
Chris Canty, Evan Cohen, and Michelle Smallman.
20 years running into guys that are my size. Does it sound like fun?
Chris, Evan, and Michelle.
Nobody can work the room like Coach Prime. And the people that like it are going to love it. The people that hate it, they're going to hate him even more.
Unsportsmanlike. Weekday mornings starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
It's game day at Jim's house, and the spread is impressive. Mike's already done some damage with the hot wings, and now he's dropping back and going deep for another slice of pizza. I sure hope he brought the Pepto. Mike knows that Pepto-Bismol provides fast 5-symptom relief from unexpected stomach upsets. He's no rookie. The way he's throwing back those nachos, he's the GOAT.
Be ready for game day with Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
That doesn't sound good.
The paper shredder's jammed, but I think I fixed it.
Oh, well, try shredding these $50 bills then.
Seems like it's working.
Better try another $400.
Stop. Instead of using money, use regular paper. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Questions about youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit organization, develops better athletes and better people through youth and high school sports. Info at positivecoach.org.
TV stations believe that you want to hear about the weather and traffic for multiple hours a day. If only we had an app for that. Well, it's a good thing that 1410 ESPN Radio knows what you really want. Live and local sports talk. Don't miss Dayton's top local sports talk show with Kinner and Kev. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, everybody, we welcome you back. Coming up immediately following the Kinner and Kev show, we have, of course, a card subject to change with Ben Chimera and Big Kev, and they'll walk you right up to Wright State basketball at 6:45. And we need to get Steve from Springboro. And in fact, we haven't heard from Steve from Springboro. I thought we'd be having a parade right about now.
He's waiting. He's waiting in the weeds, waiting for y'all to do something in the playoffs. Because I believe if y'all win a playoff game, he's going to be calling a lot.
You're not defending him because I know you. I mean, I am defending him because I know why he doesn't call me. He is working during this time. And when he does call in, he's sneaking out of work real quick and hiding on hold just to get the bark in. And,
Hey, I tell you this. I guarantee if y'all win the Super Bowl, he ain't going to be thinking nothing about work.
He can go back to retirement.
I guarantee if the Browns go to the Super Bowl, I expect he's going to be there.
I make a lot of money here, so I'll probably be going too.
I'll be at the Super Bowl this year.
Try and stop me, will you?
Yes. You know my brother lives out there. So
you going?
I mean, I'm going to the city that the Super Bowl is in. I'm actually not going to the game, but I'm going to be in Vegas.
Give you a press pass.
Please do.
I'm just saying. So
go out there and work, Kev.
We'll see. We'll see.
No, you're on vacation for the Super Bowl, but go out there and go get some audio drops. But no, that will be cool if you could give me one.
Steve Stetler says, I'd play Joe Flacco over Watson all day long. Veteran's been there, and he's done that. Let's just be real. This has been when Flacco came in and started just looking solid, everyone just felt good about it. Cool, he can get us to the finish line, or the finish line being the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to lie to you. When he started playing well, I'm like, just get us to the playoffs. I felt that they were trending toward – I thought the Browns would be fighting for one of these final, like the Steelers and the Colts. I thought they'd be fighting for that. He's made them not just a lock in the playoffs, but a Super Bowl contender at this point. I still get all that. Like when I post that, people do the little laughing emoji thing on there, and it drives me nuts, but whatever. It's true. It just sounds weird. I get it. But Joe Flacco has been playing that well. Now, this idea that he could do this over a 17-game season, I don't know. Could he do it next season? I don't know. Remember, he played last season, and Kev, he didn't look like this.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't look like this. He played, where was he before?
Played with the Jets, and he played with the Broncos.
And they cut him mid-season too. He did not do that year. This doesn't make any damn sense. So yes, so to be fair, when people say that this Joe Flacco has to play over Deshaun Watson, I agree with you. This Joe Flacco, 300 yards a game, 3 touchdowns a game, David Njoku averaging over 100 yards a game. By the way, David Njoku leads all tight ends in catches and receiving yards since Joe Flacco arrived. Also, Amari Cooper leads the league in total receiving yards and touchdowns on the season since Joe Flacco arrived. Yes, Kev, this Joe Flacco, I agree. This Joe Flacco statistically over any quarterback in the NFL, technically, if we're going to be playing it there. But this Joe Flacco over Deshaun Watson, who will be 28. I mean, come on. And who was 5-1 with the Browns. And let's be clear, the Browns are averaging 28 points a game with Deshaun Watson. Okay, they were beating good teams. They were blowing out good teams too. By the way, the point differential, and I saw this, I didn't look this up and do my homework or anything. That would just be weird, right? But he actually, the offense, they were blowing teams out when he was playing too more. The point differential was there. Now, again, who you're playing and all that, but they were playing better teams technically. So I'm not poo-pooing on Joe Flacco. All I'm saying is sometimes it's okay to just live in the Nick Foles moment. Nick Foles never was Nick Foles again after that Super Bowl. And by the way, he outplayed Tom Brady. He threw for 330-plus yards. He threw for 3 touchdowns. He was a Super Bowl MVP. That Nick Foles was. Mm-hmm. But guess what? Nick Foles before that was not a Super Bowl MVP caliber player. Nick Foles after that definitely was not a Super Bowl. In fact, he got cut the next season. So another situation like that. I love what Joe Flacco is doing. This is the best story in football. I love everything about it. But Kev, Joe Flacco next season, even if he leads the Browns to a Super Bowl and then goes on and plays like this somewhere else, you know what? I won't regret it. You don't give up a long-term being 3 to 5 year stint with Deshaun Watson, who's been playing at a high level when healthy. That's a topic for later. Mm-hmm. You don't give that up for a 1 year counter run, try to see if you can run it back. We've been waiting 30 years just to get to the damn playoffs for the third time. And you're going to, no. I love Joe Flacco. I love this, but we've seen enough. This doesn't happen. Why are we going to play with fire and try to assume that it's going to happen again next year? I wouldn't do it.
Too much of a financial investment in Deshaun Watson to just be like, we're going to roll with Joe Flacco. Sorry, Deshaun, you're going to be the backup. Like, it just doesn't work like that. Just like where teams draft a first round pick, they give them every opportunity in the world to prove themselves until they can't prove themselves anymore. It's the same thing with Deshaun Watson. I mean, let's be real. Like, we still haven't seen Deshaun Watson be able to do what he was brought there to do. Obviously, the suspension in year 1 this year, got hurt and was out for the back half of the season. So, like, he's going to be pushing to, like, well, let me get out there and do my thing. And also, whomever the person was in charge of making the trade for him is going to be that. Some think it's the owner, some think it's the GM, some think it's the coach. Whoever that person may be, they're going to be Deshaun Watson's biggest fan.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what it comes down to when it's all. But again, good problems to have. They're good problems to have. Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yes, sir.
Similar situation going on right now. They go to a veteran quarterback who, it's not the same situation, but they go to a quarterback that was just we need to change it up. We need something different. In fact, there's nothing similar about this, but you see my point. Mm-hmm. They went to a quarterback that was third string on the depth chart. We had given up on Mason Rudolph years ago. I was surprised that he was still in the roster, to be quite honest with you. And this is the best he's ever looked, and he looks like a legitimate starting quarterback. But the problem is this a Nick Foles type run? Is this a Joe Flacco type, lightning in a bottle type run? Or, he has been around for a while. Sometimes it just clicks. I think he's doing more harm than good for you, to be quite honest with you, especially if he plays well and you miss the playoffs. I think he hurts you guys because I like Pittsburgh's future a lot more when they had no option at quarterback a few weeks ago. And I think deep down, maybe you did too. Now with Mason Rudolph playing,
we don't quit over here. We ain't quitters.
But you know how Pittsburgh is. They're going to say, we could win with this. And I'm fine with that as a Browns fan, but it's like sometimes they get in their own way. I feel like he could potentially be doing more damage than good, as weird as that sounds, because how stubborn the Steelers could be technically when trying to move on, if you will.
The offense hasn't looked like this since Ben Roethlisberger, and not old Ben Roethlisberger. The offense is running the ball well. The offense is making plays in the passing game. He's standing in the pocket. One of the biggest issues that I have with Kenny Pickett is he runs. He tries to escape the pocket, and he does the check down. And another thing, I was talking to a buddy of mine. I was like, man, when they were playing the Titans, Will Levis was the quarterback. I was like, man, just look at these dudes. Like, Will Levis looks like an athlete. Kenny Pickett doesn't look like an athlete. Kenny Pickett looks like a guy that's just walking down the street on Far Hills Avenue. Like, he just looks like a regular guy. Like, as much as Mason Rudolph was bad or good or whatever, He looks like an athlete. He's 6'5", 200-something pounds. That's what an athlete looks like. That's what a quarterback looks like. He's a big dude. So him standing in the pocket, taking shots and making throws downfield, that's something that Kenny Pickett was unwilling to do. That's something Mitch Trubisky was unwilling to do. So kind of to your point, like a good quarterback fixes a lot of things, fixes the offensive line, gets the ball out your hands quicker, makes the right checks, makes the right reads. Hey, slide protection this way, slide protection that way. And if, this is a big if, because I don't think it's actually true, but like if he has found it and the light has come on, he's been in the league for like, I think this is like year 6 for him. This is like the old school way of things. Like you draft a guy and just let him develop, and then he comes out of nowhere and like, oh man, he's balling. Like, well, he had time to develop. If that's the case, fine, I'm cool with it. But for me, for the Pittsburgh Steelers, if they're able to win this game on Saturday versus the Ravens and they're able to sneak their way into the playoffs, I wouldn't think they would fear anybody that's in the playoffs if they're playing like this. If they're able to play like this, obviously the defense is still lights out. A lot of difficulty with middle linebacker and everything like that. Hopefully, Minka Fitzpatrick comes back at safety. But like, if they're playing like this, there's not a team that I would fear in the playoffs, especially in the AFC. I think they would be able to beat anybody. But in the
offseason, 3 AFC North teams in the second round. Because if they get 7, I would pit Pittsburgh over Miami. Sorry, Brad, if you're listening, I would pit Pittsburgh over Miami.
I need Miami to beat the Bills. Go Dolphins.
Pick Cleveland over Jacksonville, and then second round. Would it be?
The lower seed would go, so it would be if the Steelers in, they would go back to play the Ravens.
Black and yellow, baby. Let's go. AFC Championship game, Pittsburgh.
I would love it. If that happened, I'm in the building.
And you got to come to Cleveland.
I can stay at my mom's.
I've never met Kevin Nash's mom. Even if I can't stay in the house.
No, you're a Browns fan. She barely lets my grandmother in the house because my grandmother's a Browns fan.
Oh, my gosh. Wrestling fans, card subject to change with Benjamin Chimera, professional wrestler, of course, who's trained the likes of a Roman Reigns and a Seth Rollins, and the list goes on and on. So keep that in mind. That's coming up. Big Kev and him do that show, and they'll it'll be a shorter show because they're going to walk you right up to 6:45, where Adam Campbell will be here in the WNG studios. Wright State pregame coverage begins at 6:45, 7 o'clock the tip-off. Wright State, Cleveland State coming up at 7 o'clock as well. It's the Kinner and Kev Show. Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Good time.
It's the Kinner and Kev Show, right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Hey, Cordell Transportation is now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers,